Mary got let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the. Wake up, get out the sheets. We came for war, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him check to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him check with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Beg, please get on your knees. Came from the jungle, up in the trees. I got a few tricks up in the sleeve. One wrong move, I'ma let out the. Big shoes, check out the crease. Blow like I'm Bigfoot, step on the beat. Make a man's run till he step out the cleats. When the whole place scream, gotta get out the. Yeah, I hear him check to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him check with the boys. Not so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Dressed too sharp with the prize. White girls, let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that.
Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I hope you're having a good day. My name is NA, and today we are going to be going over my first ever experience running a HYROX race. Now, as you guys can see, I'm getting very comfortable here, knee on the chair. I've got my tea here in my Yeti mug, as you can see there. Not a Stanley, a Yeti, but nonetheless, we're still hip. Anyways, I want to get nice and comfortable so I can give you guys a few details as to how my Vegas race went. That way you can kind of listen to my experience and use that to help your experience and make it so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Because boy, did I make some crucial mistakes that I probably won't repeat, ever again. But it's a learning experience. So let's recap a little bit. Let me tell you everything that happened before the race, during the race, and after the race. So I live in Edmonton, and I left Edmonton at, I got to the airport at about 4 or 5 in the morning, and then got on my flight, landed in Vegas at about 9 a.m. My fiance, Evelyn, who is studying in London, flew from London to Vegas and landed in Vegas about an hour or so after me. And so once she landed, we got our Uber, drove to our hotel, and with typical hotels, you pay the resort fee, and you don't really get much out of it. Like we paid our resort fee, and then we got into the hotel room, and the TV, it's just not impressive. Not impressive, but first world problems. But I digress. Anyways, we got to the hotel, we kind of chilled for a little bit because we weren't racing till Sunday. So we decided, let's see Vegas, let's visit, let's kind of look around and go for some shows. Now, as is Vegas, there's always people trying to sell you stuff, trying to get you to do and buy things. And so as we're walking around the main casino hall, right, there are people who are trying to sell us on shows and whatever it is. And you know me, I'm like, you know what? This is a year of trying new things, trying whatever it is, and not necessarily saying no, just being open to opportunity. And so I'm like, hey, you know what? You want to sell me a show? Go ahead. Let me hear what you have to say. And so, as you know, typical salespeople, they come to you and say, oh, no. This isn't a big commitment. This is something simple and easy. And so they're offering us a free show, right? I think it was, $200 or so credit to whatever restaurant we wanted within that hotel. And then another $100 credit for gambling at the slot machines. Now I'm like, dang, this sounds great. What's the catch? And so they tell us simply, all we have to do is sit through a timeshare presentation. They said it wasn't a timeshare, but it's a timeshare presentation. So at first we're kind of standing there looking at each other and we're like, do you really want to do this? And I'm like, you know what? We sit there for about an hour or so. They tell us about what they want us to buy and we say no, and then we're done, right? So I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. I'm like, new opportunities, let's go. So we agreed to it. They gave us the whole spiel, all the details, and then we head over to the place that they're going to do the timeshare presentation at. Now, Evelyn and I are sitting there thinking, we're not going to buy anything. We're not these Vegas people. We're not going to buy anything. So we're sitting there in the presentation. I will say, the presenter did an amazing job at selling the product. And so it was one of those, it's not a timeshare, but it is a timeshare, where you buy into this vacation pool and you pay a monthly fee, and this gives you access to all the different location sites at what is supposed to be a secured rate, so that as inflation goes up, you're not paying all these inflated prices. You have designated spots all across the world that you can go on vacation with your family. You can give it to friends. You can will it to people. And so, on the surface, it sounds great, right? I'm sitting in this presentation. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I being convinced right now? Am I falling for this? And so we sit through the presentation. They do a great job of not taking up too much of our time. So now, eventually, we have our sales rep who's sitting with us, and she's asking us a bunch of questions. They're kind of going over all the details. And eventually, we get to the point where they're like, okay, presentation is done. Now you're going to go with your sales rep to figure out if you want this or not. And can I just say, with all honesty, there was a point where we were like, hey, you know what? This kind of sounds like a good idea. We were almost pulled in. But eventually we decided, nah, we don't want to spend X amount of money to buy this and then pay a monthly fee. It just wasn't for us. So we had that experience, almost bought a timeshare, but we didn't, right? We kind of woke up and decided, hey, you know what? This was a fun experience. This was a good story time for later, but we're good to go. So we got back. We still enjoyed the free shows that we got. We still enjoyed the credits towards the food that we got, and it was fun. It was a good experience. I'm not going to recommend you go and buy a timeshare. I would just say, for shits and giggles, do a presentation, see what it's like, get the free shit, and then you can leave. Sorry, apologies for the cussing. Now, after that, the next day, I think was, what is it? So we got there Friday, and then I think it was Saturday is when we went and did the whole timeshare presentation. And then after that, we had our dinner, we went and saw our show, and then Sunday was race day. And so the day of, we're, getting ready, getting prepped, getting all of our meals in. I'm carrying a bunch of protein powder down to the restaurant, to basically keep myself fueled, right? Because how it worked is Evelyn would run first. Her race would be at about 1 p.m. And then I wouldn't be running until 5 or 6. And so I had this whole gap, right? Where I had just had breakfast in the morning, and then I had the rest of this time to sit around and just do nothing. Obviously, I watched Evelyn race, and I got some videos of her, but the rest of it, I was kind of just waiting to see, walking around doing whatever, right? Because usually whenever I compete, I'm used to going in the morning, competing, and then done. I'm not used to having this whole window where I'm just waiting around and kind of just like looking for whatever. And so Evelyn races, she does a good job. There are moments where she mouthed to me, "I'm dying." And all I said was, "Good job." I tried to scream and motivate her. I doubt you could hear me because the venue was loud. It was packed. Like we got there, and the energy at the event was insane. Like, I've been to competitions before, but like the energy and the amount of people at the HYROX event was ridiculous. So Evelyn runs her race. She does well. I'm looking around, kind of figuring out what's going on. And then eventually it's my turn to run. And so I get strapped up. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Mind you, the only thing I've really had to eat was my breakfast in the morning and maybe a little bit of oatmeal, and that's about it. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll be great. I get into warm up. My body's feeling not too bad. I feel strong and I feel okay. And so then we're getting ready to set up in the tunnel. So the announcer is like, anybody who's running at, I think it was like 5 or 6 p.m. line up now. We're going to get you in the tunnel. We're going to do our little mantra speech thing. And so we get into that Red Bull tunnel. Inside, there's like TVs there. It's dark and we're all kind of having a little hoorah moment. And eventually, once we get all the rules and regulations, we line up, and then the voice and announcer starts giving us this motivational speech. We're getting pumped up. We're getting hyped. Right? We're getting told we are warriors. We are, you know, the whole spiel if you've run a race before, right? And so we line up, boom, siren goes, and we are off. And so on that first lap, I feel fine. I'm feeling great. And so I'm running. And I remember when we were in the tunnel, the lady was telling us that if you get lost or you lose track of your laps, you can always look at the big screen that's up there. It's going to give you an idea of where you're going. And so first lap I go, I'm like, oh, I think I'm good. And so I run, I'm fine. Then I come out on the second lap, and for some reason I get race brain and I just lose track of things. And so I'm running. I come up on my second or third lap, and I look at the screen and it says, go into number 3. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, does that mean I still have a third lap? And so I start running my third lap. Okay, I start running again, and I'm like, as I start running, I'm like, oh no, that means I should have gone into the tunnel. But I've already started this lap. I'm like halfway through, so I'm like, all right, well, I can't go back. It's gonna be the same amount of time. So I run all the way around, get in, and now I am behind. I've run an extra lap for no reason. Now, mind you, I've done the ski erg, right? Now I'm moving on to, I think it was the sled push, and my body just, boom, hits a wall. I start to feel like all the energy inside of my body has been zapped and taken away. Normally, I'm fine, right? Like I've done this weight before, I've pushed it before, but for some reason, right now my body just feels deflated. And so I'm pushing, I'm trying to do whatever I can, and my mouth starts to feel dry. I can taste the lactic acid. Typically what happens is whenever I race or either my body doesn't feel like it has enough fuel, my lips start to turn white and it just looks like I'm pale and I'm like about to keel over. And so I'm rubbing my lips and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this white stuff, pause, on my lips, right? And I can taste the lactic acid in there. It's oh my goodness, it's not feeling good. It's not going well. So I'm running, I'm going through it. I'm still pushing, right? I'm still pushing, trying to do my best. And because of this, right, I'm having to stop in the rock zone longer than I have done in simulations, or longer than I normally would have. And so I start running, I finish the sled push, and my legs are starting to just crumble, right? My legs are shaking and I'm still going. I step out and I'm getting ready for that last lap around before I come back in again. And my legs start to seize up, right? My quads are getting tight, my calves are spasming, and I'm like, bro, I'm barely even halfway and my body's already shutting down. So I go into the sled pull, I'm pulling the sled, and oh my gosh. When you watch those HYROX videos and people tell you about the sled and the carpets, at first I thought it was just people complaining for no good reason. It's not. It is very true. I pull that sled and in my mind I'm like, excuse me? Why is there so much friction here? I'm pulling the sled and it's barely moving, but I'm in the race now. I'm not going to quit. Right? So I'm pulling the sled. Eventually I get the sled done, and now my body is just, there's fatigue, compounding on fatigue. I'm still making my way through, and I'm running, and my body just starts to crash. Luckily, I had packed some high shoes, so I took some of those, took some of the Gatorade at the rock zone, and things started to get a little bit better, but it wasn't progressing as good, or I guess as well as I would have wanted to. So eventually I get to the last portion, do the wall balls. As I'm doing the wall balls, I'm getting a little bit more cramping, but I finish strong and make it to the end. So I make it to the end, and my finish time is at about an hour 27, which is nowhere near what I wanted to do, right? But at the end of it, I realized I didn't eat enough before the race, right? I didn't drink enough water, and I just, like I said, I might have gone out too hard in the beginning, but I also ran an extra lap, which kind of just psyched me out. And so then for the rest of the race, I was trying to figure out, how can I catch up? And so the end of it all, like I said, I still had a great experience with the race. Like, it was something that I would definitely do again. But when you're running races like this, right, when you're doing events like this, always make sure that you're fully fed and have your nutrition on point. For myself, I am used to racing in the mornings where I can have something light and I'll be good to go, and I won't have to eat until later in the day. But having such a long period of time from when I ate till I raced really negatively impacted me. So when you're getting set up, make sure that you have something you're eating throughout the day if your race is a little bit later, as well as make sure you're counting your laps properly. So don't be like me. So when we look at my race times here, I'm going to put them on the screen here when you guys are looking. I ran that first lap at about 4:14, which isn't bad, right? I tried to be a little bit conservative. Got to the ski erg, hit about a 425. And so like I said before, when it comes to the ski erg, like I don't have a ski erg, I haven't really used a ski erg that often. So my time on there wasn't as good as I wanted to. And so when I moved into run 3, where that's when I ran that extra lap, I went from a 414 to a 613. So that wasn't necessarily because I was slower. It was simply because I ran that extra lap. So we move into the sled push. That destroyed me. I ran a 517 on there. Next run, kind of back to normal, 429. And then the sled pull was a 707, which was horrendous. Then after that, we went into our third run, which was a 443. Burpees took about 5 minutes. The next run was a 447. Rowing took about a 424, which I could have done better at. Run was a 502. Farmers carries was a 340, with the next run being 433. So I improved my run afterwards. And then sandbag lunges was a 525, with that next run being a 446. Then last but not least, the wall balls, which were okay, at a 530. So on the next HYROX race, I think a big thing is obviously working on that running conditioning. I think I need to do a little bit more running. I didn't do as much running as I should have. And then I think the biggest thing is just trying to get access to the pieces of equipment that are on the race so that I can familiarize myself with those pieces of equipment, and understanding that when I'm in the rock zone, I need to make quicker transitions. I think for me, it was more so of I would get into the rock zone, jog to my machine, and then get off and then jog out, when I should continue to maintain that same pace throughout so that I'm not spending as much time in that area, and I can quickly get to that next station and make my transitions a lot smoother. But I think general rule of thumb that I want to leave with all of you is that whenever you do any new event or any new challenge or any new endeavor, there's always going to be a learning curve, right? Like with this new race that I ran, it was the first time I've done a HYROX. And so there were a lot of things about the race that I didn't know that I now know from experience, right? And this shouldn't dissuade you from doing a race, right? I know a lot of people are of the mindset of, let me get in shape first, let me prepare like crazy and go into it when I feel like I'm going to excel, which there is some merit to that. But I think generally what you want to do is, if you're excited about something, do it when you have that excitement. Run the race, get that intel, get the data, and then when you come back next time, you can run a better race because you already have that experience under your belt. But aside from that, a 127.34, a 127.24 is what we have right now on record. Obviously, we want to run faster than that. I know I can run faster than that, right? I just need to make sure that I'm prepping and doing everything that I need to do. But that was my experience. Next time you go, eat well, run, don't buy a timeshare, and I will see you guys on the next one when we do our Deca Strong. Peace.